Well, I have in my hand here, I'm not like a big fish or anything, but I have my pardon papers right here. What's funny is I served in the military. I was in the U.S. Army for 12 years as an administrator, not Rambo, but I was also a weapons contractor for the Navy. So I actually worked up at Naval Weapons Station Earl for several years. And they painted me as a domestic terrorist after my arrest, but yet here I have, where the Navy's like, oops, never mind, we don't care anymore. So I'm no longer barred from military installations for walking through the Capitol for 40 minutes and taking selfies with statues. So, you know, they had mentioned that there are other things that need to be handled. I just want you to understand something. So this right here is my armband. I was able to smuggle it out of the DC jail. They called it the DC Gulag. Right. This is my armband. I was forced to wear it for nearly 2 years. You can see it's caked in black mold. We called it the DC Gulag for a reason, which is that you were basically denied all your civil rights. So you would think as pretrial detainees, you would have the right to religious services, no. The right to see your lawyer, no. The right to see your evidence, no. The right to basic nutrition, no. I have pictures I was able to smuggle out of the jail with hair down to the back of my neck. I was in the military, like I said, I'd never had long hair in my life. We weren't allowed to get haircuts for 16 months. I was denied the right to a fair and speedy trial. It took, again, 1.5 years for me to even get to a trial. I spent 3 years behind bars, like I said, for walking through the building. They portrayed us as domestic terrorists, even though we were actually entrapped by the FBI. Everybody knows now there were federal informants there were crisis actors and all that, but I'm not going to dwell so much on that because I think most people now, years later, realize that that was basically just basically a psyop in order to distract from the fact that the 2020 election was stolen. What I do want to point out is all those things I experienced, maybe not all defendants experienced that, but many, many did. And that's why Patriot Freedom Project was founded. Because while the breadwinners of families were locked up without due process, denied bail, families were destroyed, wives were working 2, 3 jobs, some were selling their blood. You have children who were forgetting what their father's faces looked like. And ultimately, throughout all this, PFP was needed in order to keep people's heads above the water. And now people probably think that after President Trump, after keeping his promise and pardoning us, that that means that everything's over. Unfortunately, that's just not the case. Until I got those papers, there was no guarantee I was going to get my benefits back from the military. You have people right now who are currently being denied their veterans benefits. You have, currently you have defendants who are just frankly not able to pick up the pieces because you can't get all that time back. People, despite the pardons, it doesn't change the fact that anytime you Google someone's name, you're going to see domestic terrorist. You're going to see basically the absolute worst media narratives and hit pieces you could possibly imagine. The false narratives are not going to go away anytime soon. And so you see there are a lot of defendants, frankly, who cannot find work. They just got out of prison a few weeks ago, and so they literally have nothing. So it's important that people realize that there's a cost to the weaponization of law. And so, while I'm not going to push any particular candidate, I do appreciate that there are some who are authentic. I think that it's important for people to remember, while it's all good to get behind whoever the eventual candidate is, it is paramount that you recognize that what was done to me will happen to you. There's no guarantee there's not going to be another January 6th and they're not going to set people up again. I served for over a decade in uniform and they treated me like Timothy McVeigh. They will do it to you. And if they're willing to create any psyop like that at such a massive scale, there's nothing stopping them from doing it again. I'm so grateful for President Trump. My fear is that people are going to try to sweep things like January 6th under the rug. If it happened once, they'll do it again. And we need to make sure that they don't forget what happened and they don't stop investigating it. And it's also important that people are aware that, yes, we were political prisoners. Yes, we faced malicious prosecution, but we're also you. I am you, I'm your neighbor. We're your neighbors, we're your coworkers, we're your friends, your family. Every time you go to a gym, every time you're at a movie theater, anytime you're at a park or the beach, you're walking right by us. If it happened to me, it will happen to you. So I ask that, please support Patriot Freedom Project. But at the end of the day, your elected representatives are only as good as you. Our government is only as wise as you are. The system only has as much integrity as we do. So please remember, it's not just about winning elections, it's about preserving the institutions they want to destroy. It's about preserving the Constitution. It's about making sure that the rights that were taken from us, everything from the Bill of Rights to the 14th Amendment, everything they deprived us of, they will do that to you. It is your obligation as a citizen to make sure that every other citizen in this country is never treated the way we were treated. They will try it again, and I ask you to be a bulwark against that and to make sure that it never happens again. It cannot happen again, or they will destroy this country. So, thank you very much.